Good morning, and welcome back to our presidential weekend series on America's Leaders from Coast to Coast, the 250th anniversary edition. I'm Stephen.
And I'm Leah.
We have reached double digits, President number 10. And honestly, this might be the most stubborn man to ever hold the office. We are profiling John Tyler, the man his enemies called his Accidency.
John Tyler is the reason we have a smooth transfer of power today. It is easy to take it for granted now, but back in 1841, the Constitution was incredibly vague. It said that if the president dies, the powers and duties devolve to the vice president. It did not explicitly say, the office devolves. So when William Henry Harrison died, the cabinet sat John Tyler down and said, "Okay, you are the vice president acting as president. We will make decisions by committee."
Can you imagine the ego it takes to look at the entire cabinet and say, absolutely not? Tyler went ballistic. He took the presidential oath of office immediately. He moved his furniture into the White House. And he started returning mail. If you sent him a letter addressed to Acting President Tyler, he would send it back unopened. He insisted that he possessed the full power, title, and authority of the office. It was technically a power grab, but it saved the country from instability. We call it the Tyler Precedent.
But while he saved the presidency, he completely destroyed his own political career. He was elected on the Whig ticket, Tippecanoe and Tyler Too, but he wasn't really a Whig. He was a disgruntled Democrat who hated Andrew Jackson. Once he was in power, the Whig leader Henry Clay tried to pass a massive banking bill. This was the centerpiece of the Whig platform. Tyler vetoed it. Clay tried to compromise and pass a smaller bank bill. Tyler vetoed that too. The Whigs were so furious that they held a caucus and formally expelled him from the party. He is the only sitting president to be kicked out of his own party. He was literally a man without a party.
And then his cabinet tried to break him. Henry Clay orchestrated a mass resignation. One afternoon, every single cabinet secretary, except Daniel Webster, who was busy negotiating a treaty, walked into the Oval Office and quit. They thought it would force Tyler to resign in shame. Instead, Tyler just looked at them and said, "Okay, accepted." He appointed a bunch of Southern Democrats the next day. He was impossible to shame.
We also have to talk about the USS Princeton incident. This is one of those historical events that sounds like a movie script. In 1844, Tyler was on a VIP cruise down the Potomac on a new warship. They were showing off this massive new cannon called the Peacemaker. It was the biggest gun in the world. They fired it once. Everyone cheered. They decided to fire it again for an encore. The gun exploded. It sent shrapnel flying across the deck.
It was a bloodbath. The explosion killed the Secretary of State, the Secretary of the Navy, and Julia Gardner's father. The president survived only because he was below deck at that exact moment. And the reason he was below deck? He was flirting.
He was flirting with Julia Gardner. She was a 24-year-old socialite, and Tyler was a 54-year-old widower. His first wife, Letitia, had died in the White House a few years earlier. After the explosion, Tyler comforted Julia in her grief, and a few months later, they got married. It was the scandal of the century. She was 30 years younger than him, younger than some of his own daughters. But Julia loved the spotlight. She is actually the one who started the tradition of playing Hail to the Chief whenever the president walks into a room. She wanted everyone to know her husband was the boss.
Politically, his obsession was Texas. He viewed annexing Texas as his legacy.
He did. He saw Texas as crucial for the South. He worked around Congress to get it done, signing the resolution to annex Texas just 3 days before he left office. He basically dropped the mic and left the incoming president, James K. Polk, to deal with the war with Mexico that followed. He wanted to be remembered as the man who expanded the map.
But the darkest chapter of his life comes after the presidency. In 1861, the Civil War starts. Most former presidents tried to keep the peace. John Tyler joined the Confederacy.
It is truly shocking. He chaired a peace conference initially, but when that failed, he voted for Virginia to secede. He was then elected to the Confederate House of Representatives. He is the only U.S. president to die as a sworn enemy of the United States. When he died in 1862, Abraham Lincoln refused to issue a proclamation. He refused to lower the flags to half-staff. Tyler was buried in Richmond with a Confederate flag draped over his coffin. He is the only president whose death was officially ignored by the federal government.
And one final record. Kids. We have to mention the kids.
15 children. He had 8 with his first wife and 7 with his second. He was having children well into his 70s. And because of that massive age span, we have this biological anomaly. John Tyler, a man born in 1790, has a grandson who is still alive in the 21st century. It breaks your brain to think about it. 3 generations span the entire history of the United States.
From his Accidency to the Confederate Congress, John Tyler was a traitor to his party and eventually his country.
Join us tomorrow for the man who picked up where Tyler left off, the expansionist, James K. Polk.
Please note, AI assists in the creation of this podcast from pointedwords.com, and remember, better pointed words than pointed swords.